So, hey guys, this time, as you can see, I have something with the MERN stack. I've been using, or I'm using a MongoDB, a Mongo database that I have with these items. I use them for Stripe, so I'm keeping that database because I want to have something consistent to show you how everything works with different things. So this time we will check, or we will see how this works in the MERN stack. Okay, so let's first check. This is the items. So if I click, I don't see anything. Okay, in here too. So if I click add item, I'm being redirected to the items. Okay, and you can see that the other one, this link disappears. So let's click add item. So there's no point of checking that of having the add item here again. You could do the same with the items. So you will see how it works. And let's see add item. Let me go to, I don't know, on Splash, because I'm using a, you will see. Let's see product, something like that. And okay, this one, that is bamboo fibers shampoo. Let's open in a new image tab. Let's copy this, and I'm not uploading any image. I'm just getting the product image from from this URL. This one is bamboo fibers shampoo. The same here. Product price, let's say I don't know, 25 bucks, maybe. No, because no, 70 bucks. Yeah, why not? So as you can see, it updates here, but let me tell you something before. Well, let's create a post. Then I'm being redirected and I can see the changes. I need to click here in the title and I can see the changes and I can edit them. Okay, I can update any item. So here you can see, since we are on a different component, I'm having the add item here. So and we can also delete this item. So we can update. If we update, since everything is the same, we should be redirected, or unless there is a problem. Let's see, response. Okay, this is the response. Okay, deprecation warning, collection find and modify is deprecated. Okay, maybe that's why it's not working. So we will fix that. I'm sorry. And let's check the application. So as I said, I wanted to share you something. First, I have this React, only React with class-based components, and then I made these React hooks. Okay, that is using React hooks in order to get the same functionality. So I will show you that next week. So let's first take a look at this, at the API. This is Mongo. This is Mongo. This is Nodejs Express, and I'm using the .env since it allows us to create an environment file, so we can add or this process env db user and db pass. I showed you that already on the last video. So in case you don't know, let's say npm.env. So you need to define that Let's go to index. So this is the M you can create. So define that on the top of your index, so it gets called as soon as possible. So as early as possible, your application require and configure.m. Okay, this is just it. So you should already know how to create an Express application. How this thing is working. I'm using cores to enable the calls from React to Node the URL because I'm sending post requests. Here course is being enabled. I'm using Mongoose, the routes, okay, item routes. We will take a look at that in a little bit. I'm connecting to Mongo using Mongoose, okay, checking database connection, and if there's an error, we console an error. If everything is working, we just console connection established. Okay, you can see here. Okay, you should get first this line connection established if everything is working fine with database. So allow origins, allow headers, allow methods. You just copy this, you will get the files, so don't worry about it. I have a little API code review with Nodejs and Express, and I think it's using Mongo too. So check that so you know what everything is doing. I'm not going to explain everything here because we will focus on the response, on the routes, and yep. So this is error handling, and that's it. So let's go to the, okay, we have the models. Let me show you, open another one. Let's get this mlab. I need to sign in. So this is the model. What every record on our database will have these properties. We export the schema, and that's it for the schema creation. Let's close this. I already showed you how to, how everything works on another video, so I'm not going to explain that in much detail here. So that's it. Let's take a look at this, because this is the important thing with React, because this is mostly a React video. And let's first check this. Okay, let's go to MERN. So let's take a look first at this component. What is this component doing? So let's go to React source, and first of all, let me go to index. We need I haven't shown you in a while the package.json, right? So you need React router DOM, okay, for redirections and routing. So you will need to import the browser router here, from React router DOM, and wrap your application in this browser router so you can access. You can use the routing. Let's go to the, okay, this is the index. Where's the, okay, so this is the app, the first page of our application, the app.js. So as I said, this is the class-based components. Okay, so we need imported here the link and the with router. Why? Because we need to check the router events. So we wrap our application with the router. Next, we are checking the props. Why the props? Because the props have the location we need. This is not it. Let's say, do I have it here? Let's say console.log props. Let's see if that works. I can't remember. Okay, probably it's not defined. I should be able to get it, but I forgot how. Wait a second. And what if I pass props here? I just want to show you that. No. Okay. So the thing is that these props contain the history, and we can access the location. Okay, so let's check with the listener. I'm checking with the component mounts, the load, and checking the location path name and setting that location to this location, setting the window location path name to the location. Okay, so we can hide the add item that is this. We are checking if add item is the URL, and wait a second. Okay, I'm back. So, okay. So, let me. Okay, everything's working. So, we're checking if the path name is the add item, and we're going to use the location to hide the add item list item. Okay, and we need to check the this that props as history. So let's say should I be able to do console.log this that props? Is that right? So we have the location, path name, and let's say items. Okay, it's not being called, but you will see it's not being called again. So you will see that we have this path name, and we are checking for that to be the same as. Let me refresh. I'm refreshing so I can see the changes here. So we are checking if the add item is in the path name. Okay, so that is what this thing is doing, is checking for the history, is listening for the routing changes and changing the state of the location, and with that we check inside our render. We make this constant show add item to be this state, that location, whatever is in the state for the location. We use we set let item, this add item, and we check if show item that is equal to this that state location, the current location we are in, if not equal to add item. If the path name is not equal to add item, then we add, or we can display this list with ID add item with a link that displays this add item. Okay, so this is this thing. Since we are on the route, is showing it, and we move or redirect to that route. We are checking for this, and we are displaying or not whether if we have add item on the URL or not. And this is just the return. So we need with router in order to listen to the route events. Okay, and that's it. You will also need to say to unsubscribe in case you need it with the component on destroy, I think it is. I haven't used React in a while, so in case you need it, you just unsubscribe from this event. Let's move on. This is the app, so that's all. Also, I'm adding the routes here, importing the routes from our routes file. That remember that our routes file are here, and we are only importing our routes, the main, the item, and the add item from the components main item and add item files, and we use the switch, and we use in the route with the exact path. Okay, and only this path, the item path is expecting an ID to be passed. Remember that this is telling React that when we go to this item, we expect it to have this ID, okay, or something passed as an ID. So that's routes. This is the index.js. Okay, we will check that later to fix that thing. So components, and let's check main. So this is the first component that is rendering. Let's go to MERN. That is rendering this grid. So when component mounts, of course, we in this case, since we're using class-based components, we use a state and we set the items to an empty array. So we are checking if I'm just consoling to see what's going on, and we fetch from HTTP localhost 8000 items. We fetch that and we receive the response, and we need to pass it into JSON using fetch, and the blob is or information. So blob will have, in this case, this data property which has the items that are okay. Let me console that out. Blob, no blob. Okay, this blob contains this data that is an array and has all our files that are coming from the database, or all our items. So but first, okay, well, let's see the render. The render uses the mapping of the items of these state items. We need to map that. We receive or we will get the item. So we pass this into these little cards that are these things. Okay, and I'm using the background URL here to get this kind of effect, and that's it. Getting the item ID, the name, and the description that is coming from the database that I got here. Okay, so this is not it, this is the other one. This is the passport users. What the fuck? Okay, passport users, Mongo test, not the stripe, I think it is. Yes, items. Okay, black suit, shirts, camisoles, that is the same as that we are displaying here. Black suit, shoes, camisoles, Nike running shoes, and all that crap. And you will see that, why do I have that? Okay, that I have bamboo fiber shampoo here added. So let's keep moving. This is it. Since I'm using Node as the backend, we are fetching localhost 8000 items, so we need to go to the routes inside your Mongo or Node application. So we are getting these items. Okay, we are fetching a GET request. This is a GET request to this URL, and what it's doing is just finding everything and responding with the status 200 with JSON response that this is the data that we're getting inside the blob, and the items are the items that are coming from the database. Okay, that are all these items, these 10 items. So that's it, that's the first part. Okay, so the next part is, let's say, add item. So let's go to the add item component. Okay, we can close main. We will leave, no, we can close index. Let me open this because I want to see that everything is working fine with OBS. Of course, we need with router again. No, sorry, this is not it. Let's close that. We don't need with router because we don't check in the router history or the router events. So we do need redirect, and default image is coming from the one of these two images. Okay, this is the image. Let me show you. Okay, you will see this is the default image. Okay, that is just an you know, a placeholder for an image, and you will see. So the state, since we are using class-based components, we need to manage the state this way. So we create this state property with name, description, image, price, and redirect. We use get input values to set the state of the target of the input and the value. The event target name matches this state. Okay, not this one, redirect is something else. Matches event target name matches name, description, image, and price. You will see here, this is the name of the input, the text area, and the other inputs. Okay, and on change, since we are using class-based components in this example, we need to call this that get input values. That is this function that, as I said, is setting the state of the target name that matches the name, and is saying the state to be the value. Okay, so in this case, if we type something inside the name, this is going to be set because we need to show here. Let me show you. We are getting this state, that name, the product name. Okay, that this is the product name from this that state name. Okay, we need a name inside the state that the name matches the name of the input. Okay, so that's how it's working. So let's add another item, so you can see. Let's close this one. So also we will use that to test the delete and the update. So maybe this one, I don't know. This one are in the air. let's say Nike. No, these are not Nike. I don't know, red shoes, let's say. We need to copy this URL and let's say red shoes, red tennis shoes. And let's say the same red tennis shoes. I don't know, let's say 100 bucks, and let's paste the image. Okay, you can see that we get the image here. So let's continue with this. We already filled everything, and we are getting from the state, the inputs, the description, and the price. Okay, and in order to create the item, we need to first of all prevent the default. This create item is being called when we submit the form. Okay, this that create item. We create this constant that has the item properties from the state. We need to make these options. We need this in order to make the post request. Okay, the fetch with the post request. So we create these options with the method post, and we need the headers, the content type application JSON, because we need that, and we pass the JSON that stringify the item. Okay, we stringify the item for Node.js to be able to parse it. So we're just checking if the description, the image, the name, and the price are all set. Then we make the fetch request with the post method, passing the URL. So let me check that. Item, everything is here. So, okay, they add an item. We get this post. When we get this post into these items, okay, from what we are getting inside the request body, we are getting the name, the image, the description, and the amount. We are going to store it in a new item and use the new item to store the information, the save function from Mongoose, into our database. Okay, so if there's an error, we just return the item was not saved with a response status of 400 and with an error message. Else we respond that the index or the item was created, and we use a message that says item was created or was saved successfully. Okay, so that's it. What else? There's nothing else here. So this is coming from the request that matches the names of our of what we are sending. Oh no, it's here. Okay, the name, description, image, and amount. This is inside React. After that, we need to pass the options from the URL to be able to say that this is a post request with the headers and payload. Then we console log the response and we set the status of redirect to be true. In this case, redirect is being false, so we are not going to redirect when we mount the component. We're going to redirect only when this redirect is true. So how that works, we create this constant. Well, let's take a look at the render. First of all, the image. The constant is image. It's only checking. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Is image ready? It's just getting the state of the image, plain simple. If the state is filled, let's say that, then this is going to return true. If not, it's going to return false. So we're checking if image ready, if there's something inside or not. Okay, if it's null or not, or empty or not. And we need to make this variable image preview, so the image preview will only contain the image that has this state.image in case that is set, that in this case is going to show this shoes image. And if not, if that's empty, we're just going to show the default image, that is this one. Okay, let's paste that back and let's create post. We are redirected and we have this thing here. So the redirect, sorry, I'm just checking my dog because she's sleeping and she just had a surgery last week and I'm checking her, so everything seems to be fine, but she's just dreaming and is kind of making noises, so I'm just checking her. So she's sleeping right beside me, so in case you hear something, it's her. So this constant redirect is going to be it's going to use this state redirect, that is in this case is false the first time, but when we get everything and we get the response, we set that this is the response from the API. Okay, so we set this state for the redirect to be true, and in case this redirect is true, we're going to return redirect to. So once we fill everything and click this create post, it's not going to make any change because we are checking for the 4 values to be set. And what I was saying, so after we set and we click create post, after we have all the input fields and the text area filled with values, it's just going to redirect. It's going to wait for the response and set this redirect to true and return this redirection. Okay, if not, it's only going to respond or render the form and this little preview that we have here. This is a regular form, nothing much. Okay, nothing more to see here, I think. That's just the creation. So let's go to what seems to be the problem here, that is the update. Let's go to items, let's click 10 issues, and we cannot update. Oh, it seems that we can update. So let me check out something. If it's only deprecated, I will show you what to do. Okay, let me say 10 issues red, 10 issues. I don't know. Okay, let's update this. Let's not say, let's say 125, 25, and update post. Okay, we are not being redirected. Let's go to, did I make the redirection or I'm just making things up? At item, this is kind of the same. No, it's not at item. Wait a second. No, it's item. Sorry, it's item. Yeah, it seems that we should be redirected. No, I forgot to add that. We're only going to redirect when we delete the item. Okay, so that's the problem. Well, not a problem, but that's why I thought it was working. I mean, I thought it was not working, but I didn't set it to redirect when we update. So let's go back to MERN. Let's go back and click this, and you can see that we have the 125 change. Okay, so it's working, and let's go to the database, and we should have, let's refresh this. We should have the other one. Let's go to last. The red tennis shoes with the price of 125 with amount. Okay, so let's take a look at this item, that is this page that has the update post and the delete item. Okay, so with the component mounts, we're going to fetch the item using this prop.stat match params ID. That, remember that item, the route is waiting or is expecting to have this ID. So we are passing the ID here. So let's go back. Okay, so I click search, we are getting this ID. Okay, and this ID is what we are using to fetch the correct item inside Mongo. So okay, I'm sorry, this is not it. Item. So we need to set the state, because again we're using class-based components. We will check later how to change everything, or what the changes what changes were needed in order to. I will show you a little sneak peek at the end. So for React hooks, I'm just using use effect and use state, okay, because that's the only thing that the application needed. But of course, everything needed to change in how it was structured. So let's continue with this. We need the state with the name, description, image, and price, and the redirect false. When the application is mounted, we're going to fetch the item. So I will show you this. This router get item is going to return the item defined by this ID. Okay, so we said let ID request params ID, that is the request. What this thing is passing, this ID is going to be the request params ID. Okay, I can't remember how to explain that pretty well, but let's say console.log request. So when we pass the request, okay, we are getting this thing here. Also, I remember that I have another push notifications, web push notifications with Firebase and real-time database. So be ready to check that soon. I just remember that because I checked that. So let's update the post. I'm sorry, I'm not updating the post. I just click here, and what we get considering a lot of information. Okay, this is the ID that we are getting. Okay, that matches this ID. I'm consoling here. So this is the console for the node. Okay, the node API. So we are getting the ID that matches this ID, as you can see. Okay, you can check it. When we make the call, so the call is first made when we click this. We make the call to the node API, and we respond with the information that is inside the database. So that's it. Let me show you. So this is the fetch with this props parents match ID that is making the passing the ID and hitting this get request. And then we return the JSON, and then we pass the blob, and from the blob we receive this item.name. So let me console.log blob lol. So this one is going to be displayed here, message found. Okay, so this is it, the item, amount, description, image. Okay, you can see the response with this item and the property. So let's remove that. The values, okay, first take a look at this. So this is the request we are passing when we hit or when we click on an item, and we use find by ID. We pass the ID, that is this request parents ID that is getting from this ID. Okay, we check for the error or item. If there's an error, we respond with 400 with status 400 and JSON that will say there was an error fetching the document, and we pass the error message, and else we respond if there was no error with the image with the item found, and the item is going to be this item. No, sorry, it's going to be this item. Okay, the item that finds that is being found using the ID. So the same thing happens here with the get input values, that we are just setting the state. Regular React, we're setting the state with this on change for the inputs. Okay, the inputs are matching the state names or the state properties. So yeah, nothing new to see there. So when we click this on submit for the form, this one, we're going to call this that update item. Where is it? Okay, that is going to get everything from the state, from this as a state name, description, image, and price that are here. Remember that we are checking for the changes whenever we type something else, and that is changing the state. So when we add anything into the inputs, it's going to automatically check for that, and we are only going to get what is inside the state at this current moment, and make the put request. In this case, we add this method as put. We pass the headers, the content type headers, application JSON, and we stringify the item so Node can parse it, and we make this fetch into HTTP localhost 8000 item with the item ID, and we pass the options. What is this item doing? Of course, remember that it's a put request, so we need to come back here. This router that is expecting the pull request is expecting the item. I mean, that is waiting for the pull request is expecting the item and the ID. Well, not the item per se, but this is the route which expects the ID that we are passing using this props that match that params ID. That remember that ID is coming from this from the URL. You can also add it into a state. I don't know, you could use it in case you're using a class based components, and we're just going to return the response, and that's it. You can catch an error, forgot to add that. In case there's an error, console.log error, and that's it. That should take care of the error handling. So as I said, it's mostly the same. I'm getting also the image, except that this image is coming from the state that already has an image. That's why it's being displayed here, and we don't need the default image, and getting everything from the state. So when we click this delete item, we're going to call this item ID with the delete request. So let's take a look at that, how we check that using fetch. So first of all, we're going to ask for confirmation. So let's take a look at this. Are you sure you want to delete this item? Cancel. No, the item is not deleted, so we can refresh. And we can check the item is working. Okay, it's being still fetched. The item is there. So if confirm delete returns true, it will only return true when you click for this alert, when you click OK. We need to also make this constant options. You can also say a variable with let. We add the method delete, also the headers, and we stringify the ID. Okay, we need to pass this object ID with this props that match params ID that is the same as this ID we have here. So we fetch that, we make the fetch request that is a delete request inside these options, and after that we just redirect as the same as we did before, checking if redirect is true or false. If it's true, it's going to redirect and skip all this return. So let's take a look at this item. The delete is going to check for the request body, that is request body ID, that is this ID that, remember, we're passing an object. Where is it? With this ID property, and we are checking for that. And this we're calling delete one. I was getting an error before. Okay, I will check that. And no, because some methods are deprecated. It wasn't. I mean, they weren't deprecated when I created this MERN application. But seems now that some they made updates into Mongoose, and some methods are deprecated, so we should not use them anymore. So we will see that. Let's say Mongoose read docs schema connection model query. Let's say query. No. Let's say Mongoose delete. Mongoose. No, let's say update. Okay, they're making the schema right there. Retrieving, updating. Update one. So what is Mongoose document track changes? You can modify document using vanilla JavaScript assignments, and Mongoose will convert into MongoDB update errors. So so they are okay. So now it seems you can just create the model, and for that model just update whatever you want, and in the background Mongoose is going to change that to update one and set whatever you have that doesn't that doesn't seem to be the problem that I had with the deprecation. Seems that it's going to work either way. But when I was getting the deprecation right here, right? No, I was getting the deprecation on add item. I'm just checking, so bear with me for a second. And well, I don't know. It was, I think I saw something. Bum, bum, bum. Nope. Okay, deprecation warning collection, that find and modify is deprecated. Just find and update. Find one and replace, or find one and delete instead. Find and modify. Did I use find? Sorry. Find by ID. Find by ID and update. I didn't show you this one, right? Okay, so this is the update. I don't know where it's getting that, but I think it's just showing the error, not the error, the warning. So you don't use that because I'm not using it. I'm still getting that warning. So as I said, when we get this pod, we get the request. Let's say, yep. And we create this update item that is going to be the response of this. Well, not the response, it's just getting a variable in order to store it so you can do whatever you want. So find by ID and update the request params ID, that is the what stores the ID. When we update, let's return that, return here into the update. So when we click this, it's going to have this ID, and that is what is going to be passed here. We set the name, description, amount, and image. So we are getting all the information inside this form. So let me check that. I didn't show you. I show you this, that is getting the constant item, and that item is being passed as the payload inside these options for the put request. But I didn't show you what was going on here. So we are getting here everything from the request body, the name, description, amount, and image that matches what we have here. And we're checking for the error, or if we are getting an item. If there's an error, we respond with status 400, and with an error message else we return with status 200 and that the item was updated successfully, and we return that item again. Yeah. So okay, that's the update. Let's say for casual use, let's say that update post. We make the changes. We don't need, in this case, to update or to make another call into the database, but when we go to items and click this again, everything that is coming, everything that is inside this inputs and the text form, text area is coming from the database. So, okay, the delete, as I said, is checking for the item ID. This ID is coming as the same from this object that is using this props match params ID. That is the ID on the URL again. So it's just only going to check. This will only check for an error and return a 404 that the item was not found, or else if the item was found, it's just going to delete it, and that's it. We change the method to delete for this one, and we pass the fetch. We make the fetch request, and that's it. So let's go and delete this one. So when we click delete item, we need to click yes, and we are going to be redirected, and you can see that that is gone. So you can see here it still has these 10 issues, but when we refresh, okay, there's nothing here. So let's go back to home, no stripe, we show it shows 10, and the last one, you can see that there's no other page here. The last one is the bamboo fiber shampoo. So I think that's it. That's all for this thing. It's an hour long video. So maybe I went through it a little fast, but this is, if you know how to use React, you know you will get how this thing works. And let me close all this, and let me just get back here and say npm start. We can close. Okay, let's wait for that. I'm going to close this one because that shouldn't be working. It's still starting. So this is the hooks, and that will be for the next week video. So I'm just going to wait for that to open to show you that it has if not the exact same behavior, a pretty similar behavior. Okay, it's opening on Microsoft Edge. Just wait a second. I can even close this one because I'm not going to show anything else right now until next week, or maybe just to get that out of the way. No, I will wait for the next week. Yeah. So what the fuck is going on? Okay. So let me close this one and reload this one. Okay, you can see that we have something different, so you can see that so let's go to items. This is items, this is MERN hooks. Let's go to add item. We delete, we hide that. It's using the same behavior, just a little different look. So let's click on that. We are getting the same things. Let's click here. We're getting the same things. Okay. It has kind of the same behavior. So yeah, next week you will get this code review and the full file package that has the class base and the React hooks. Okay, so just wait for that and see you on the next one.